Arsenal captain Martin Odegaard has returned to full training ahead of their clash with Bayern Munich on Wednesday night in the UEFA Champions League. The two sides, of course, have met multiple times in the course of this competition, including their very last coming in 2024 when Bayern Munich faced off with Arsenal at the quarterfinals, with Bayern Munich beating up against Arsenal by 0-0 at the Allianz Arena, while the reverse fixture ended in a 2-2 draw, eventually Bayern Munich advancing at the expense of Arsenal. But all that notwithstanding, Arsenal have welcomed some of their injured players. Of course, over the weekend, we saw the return of Gabriel Martinelli to the bench, as well as Noni Madueke, who was afforded a couple of minutes against Tottenham Hotspurs. Now, while speaking about other potential returnees for this particular game, of course, the game does come a little too early for the likes of Victor Gyökeres, Kai Havertz, and Gabriel Jesus, not to mention Gabriel Magalhaes, but particularly on Kai Havertz and Victor Gyökeres, Mikel Arteta did say that the feelings are really, really good for both Gyökeres and Havertz. In the next few days, they are going to have a repeat scan to see if we can push them, for the weekend. That means to see whether they can be available for their trip to Stamford Bridge on Sunday against Chelsea, a very, very decent Chelsea side in scintillating form, having beaten up against Barcelona last night by 3-0, thanks to William Esteval, an on goal by Jules Koundé that broke the deadlock, while Liam Delap was the other that got himself on the score sheet. Really, Chelsea scored a couple there that were ruled out for offside, but they were really, really very, very decent in that victory against Barcelona. Of course, they were decent over the weekend as they beat up against Burnley, and we know like this Chelsea side is capable of beating up against any opponent across Europe, but sometimes that lack of consistency is where we put questions on Enzo Maresca. If he doesn't tinker with his team that much, then over the weekend, Arsenal could be given a run for their money when they face off in that London derby. But the positive news for the Arsenal is that they are set to welcome back at least more other players returning to the fold from injury. Is Mikel Arteta going to make some changes in his starting 11? I think it should be a huge expectation that he makes changes. The question will be, how many changes will he make? In that backline, could we see Ben White start ahead of Julian Timber? Could we see Mars Lewis Kelly start ahead of Ricardo Carafiori? Could we see Ebeleche Eze rested and we see a return of Martin Odegaard? Or it's too much to ask for him to, come against, Bayern Munich coming off that injury? Or we'll see Ebeleche Eze. Is it going to be Ethan Nwaneri? Who is it going to be? Are we going to see Gabriel Martinelli starting? Or it's going to be somebody else? We will wait to see tonight. Just give me your predictions down in the comment section.